In the heart of the green and golden Cloverfield meadow, where wildflowers nodded in the sun and gentle breezes rustled the grass, lived Benny the bunny. Benny was not your ordinary rabbit. His snowy white fur gleamed as if dusted with new-fallen snow, and his short, velvety coat was always neat and clean. His large ears stood proudly, though the tip of one bent playfully, and his bright emerald-green eyes sparkled with curiosity and cleverness. Benny always wore his favorite sky-blue vest, snug and decorated with tiny brass buttons, and around his neck was a soft, crimson scarf that fluttered in the wind as he hopped along, his little white tail twitching with every bound. One cool morning, as Benny finished brushing his glossy coat and straightening his vest, he gazed across the meadow. The sun was just peeking over the hills, painting the grass with golden light, and the scent of dew filled the air. Today, Benny felt something tingle in his paws, a sense of adventure. He wondered what new wonders he might discover beyond the familiar fields and hedges. As Benny sniffed the air, he heard a gentle voice calling, "Good morning, Benny." It was Millie the mouse, a cheerful brown mouse with the softest whiskers and twinkling black eyes, who always wore a cheery yellow bow atop her head. She scampered over, her tail curling in excitement. "Good morning, Millie," Benny answered with a friendly wave of his paw. "What are you up to today?" Millie stood on her tiptoes and pointed her nose toward a cluster of tall, mossy rocks at the edge of the meadow. "I heard a story from the sparrows," she said with a whisper, "about a hidden cave behind those boulders. They say it's dark inside and mysterious too." Benny's emerald eyes widened. A hidden cave? His ears perked straight up and his scarf fluttered as he hopped with excitement. "I've never explored a real cave before. Would you like to come with me, Millie?" Millie hesitated, her tiny paws tapping nervously. "Oh, Benny, caves can be very dark. What if we get lost?" Benny smiled bravely. "Don't worry, I have just the thing." He reached into one of the secret inside pockets of his sky-blue vest and pulled out a small, sturdy lantern with glass sides. It was bright and shiny, with a brass handle and a switch to make a gentle, warm light glow from within. "We can use my lantern to light our way." Millie grinned, feeling braver already. What an adventure this will be! Off they went, Benny leading the way, his crimson scarf trailing behind him, and Millie keeping close by his side. The meadow grass brushed softly against their legs as they bounded toward the tall, mossy boulders. When they reached the rocks, Benny noticed something odd. The strands of ivy parted at the base, just wide enough for a small bunny and his mouse friend to slip through. Benny held up his lantern and clicked it on. Instantly, a gentle golden glow danced across the stones, making even the moss shimmer. Millie took a deep breath, and together they squeezed through the gap beneath the boulders and found themselves in the mouth of a cave. It was cool and quiet inside, with shadows curling along the walls. The air smelled a little damp, like earth and old leaves, but the twinkling lantern made everything feel friendly rather than scary. Benny's eyes, so clever and bright, scanned the stone walls. The stones were smooth and blue-gray, studded here and there, with little bumps that glimmered in the lantern light. "Let's see where the path goes," Benny said gently. He held the lantern out front, casting a soft glow ahead, and took careful, quiet steps further into the cave. Millie followed close, her whiskers twitching with curiosity. As they moved deeper, Benny spoke in a whisper. "Listen, Millie, do you hear that?" Millie cocked her head and listened. Drip, drip, drip. The sound of tiny drops of water echoed from somewhere deeper inside. It was peaceful and rhythmic, as though the cave itself was breathing and humming. They turned a gentle corner, and suddenly the cave widened into a small, round chamber. Here, all around them, the walls sparkled and shimmered like the night sky. Benny stepped forward, shining his lantern this way and that, and gasped in delight. Embedded in the stone were countless small, colorful crystals. They twinkled in the lantern's glow. Ruby reds, sapphire blues, and dazzling clear ones that flashed every color of the rainbow. "Oh, Benny!" Millie squeaked in awe, her eyes as round as buttons. "The sparrows were right. This place is magical." Benny grinned from ear to floppy ear, his one bent tip wiggling with happiness. He dashed over to a cluster of blue gems, the same color as his vest, and gently traced one with a paw. It felt cool and smooth. Suddenly, something caught Benny's ear. A faint rustling sound from a shadowy corner. He shone his lantern that way, and out from behind a rock hopped another animal, shivering a little and looking a bit lost. "Hello?" Benny called kindly, making sure his voice was warm and welcoming. "Are you all right?" The animal was a small hedgehog with soft brown spikes and bright, gentle eyes. She wore a tiny green satchel and looked a little frightened, but very relieved to see Benny and Millie. "Oh, hello there. My name is Hazel," she said with a shy smile. "I came into the cave searching for wild mushrooms for supper, but I lost my way when it got too dark. My lantern blew out, and I'm afraid to go back alone." Benny's heart filled with kindness. He remembered how Millie had felt nervous about the cave, and he wanted to help Hazel feel safe too. He clicked his lantern to its brightest setting until the whole cave chamber sparkled like a treasure box. "Don't worry, Hazel. We'll help you find your way out. You can stay with us, and we'll all go together." Hazel smiled, feeling much braver now. "Thank you, that's very kind." Before they left, Millie pointed at the dazzling crystals one more time. "Maybe we can take just one small gem each as a memory?" she asked. "Something to remind us of our adventure." Benny nodded, choosing a tiny blue crystal and turning to Hazel. "Would you like one too?" Hazel chose a little red gem that shone like the setting sun. Millie picked a sparkling clear one, shining like morning dew. They each tucked their treasures safely away in their vests, satchels, and bows. Benny led the way, holding his lantern high as the three friends retraced their steps through the twists and turns of the cave. They listened for the drip, drip, drip to guide them, looked for the pattern of glimmering stones, and at last spied the gentle golden light of the entrance up ahead. As they reached the sunlight, the meadow opened before them once more. The fresh air smelled sweet, and birdsong filled the sky. Hazel thanked Benny and Millie, hugging each of them tightly. "You're the bravest and kindest friends I could have met today." Benny smiled, the sun making his coat gleam like snow, and his crimson scarf fluttered in the breeze. That's what friends do. We help one another and look for the light, even in the darkest places. Hazel waved goodbye and set off for home, feeling lighter now that she was safe. Millie and Benny sat together on the soft grass, admiring their sparkling gems and thinking about all they had seen. Millie sighed contentedly. I was scared at first, but I'm so glad we went. With you, Benny, adventure is always wonderful, and with a bit of light, the world is full of treasures. Benny snuggled into the grass, his eyes shining. There are so many adventures just waiting to be discovered, Millie. And as long as we stick together, there will always be light, even in the darkness. And with that, the two friends watched the clouds drift by, their precious gemstones glittering beside them, a reminder of their magical day inside the sparkling cave, and the courage and kindness that made everything bright.